TNA Wrestling crossed the line one last time for a special show in 2025. Impact, of course, will still be being recorded, but Final Resolution was in the books, of course, on TNA Plus. And boy, oh boy, has, I suppose, landscape changed. Are we saying goodbye to some people? We're definitely saying hello to some new faces in TNA. And a lot went down last night, considering, Final Resolution, not a pay-per-view, it was a special show. But a lot did indeed go down. And we do have to actually talk most times out of 10 on the show when we comes to pre-show matches and whatnot, we tend to just skip over them. Well, things happened in the TNA pre-show this week that we have, well, this week, last night, that we have to discuss. First things first, so Cedric Alexander and Eric Young had a good opening pre-show match. Very much good wily veterans in there, getting the job done. There was a flying elbow drop off the top rope from Eric Young, which nearly got the job done, or he thought it actually did, but it did not. Um, but surprisingly, and I predicted Eric Young to win this match. I thought that was where we were going, but actually it was a surprise small package from Cedric Alexander. Sorry, he caught him with a surprise small package, and then the brainbuster. And Cedric Alexander picked up the pinfall. I thought it was quite a real sort of shocking one. I thought, no disrespect to Cedric, I thought Eric Young was nailed on to win this match. I really, really did. I thought it was done deal in a lot of ways. But yeah, interesting. Interesting that Cedric won this match. I don't know what the future holds for Eric Young. I think there's a promo later on in there. So Eric Young's cleansing hasn't really started yet, but a big win for Cedric Alexander as well, lots of rumors flying around who's staying, who's going. You'd kind of think here that Cedric may be staying with that victory. Who knows? Now, the system, Brian Myers, Moose, and Eddie Edwards, they issued an open challenge for the pre-show. Now, this challenge was accepted, but by three people, not, I don't know if they're signed from TNA now or whether they just come down for this. It was answered by ECW legend C.W. Anderson, Brock Anderson, the son of Arn Anderson, and the man who's been talked about being signed by TNA, Bear Bronson. What a trio. I mean, what a bonus match as well to get thrown in on this, but what a trio. And it's an interesting I don't know what they're doing here. When it comes to Bear Bronson, we know there's been talks. We didn't know about C.W. Anderson or Brock Anderson. Oh, yeah, in this. So have they signed with TNA? Were they just there for this and the set of tapings coming up? What is happening? However, I'm very happy to see those three, at least in TNA for the time being. Brock Anderson, obviously son of Arn, was in AEW for a long stretch of time there. Had opportunities, didn't quite get to perhaps where he should have got, but still a great, still had a good run there. CW Anderson, we know, is a legend from ECW, been in MLW quite a lot recently. And Bear Bronson, who's kind of had more success away from AEW since he's left. He's been doing death matches and GCW and a lot else, and he's been really getting over with the crowds. And actually, a lot of the internet, not like us, I suppose you could say, like us, critiques and whatnot. Were actually very impressed with the work that he'd been doing on there, and he was quite a sought after free agent. So if TNA have now signed him, great news for us fans of TNA wrestling. But it was actually quite a really good impromptu six man. It was less than 10 minutes. It wasn't like a massively long six-man tag. It was a good introduction into the free CW Brock and Bear Bronson, but ultimately, of course, the experience of the system shined through, and system overload on Brock Anderson, Brian Myers picking up a pinfall, Brian Myers and pinning someone doesn't normally work, does it? It's normally the other way around. People pin Myers, so it was nice that Myers got the victory here. Now, and then we go to the main show and we kick off with Mike Santana against Charlie Dempsey. Charlie Dempsey, the son of William Regal, Charlie Dempsey from NXT. Mike Santana going down the route of really wanting to take apart all NXT roster. If you know, NXT were the ones that cost him his World Heavyweight Championship, which he had for a cup of coffee. Uh, Pretty much anyway. It was not even one show. He won the title. The show TNA took a month off, comes back, first show back, he drops it to Kazarian, thanks to TNA influence. And Santana has made it perfectly clear he's going after NXT. Now, if you recall on the review that we done yesterday, he had a match with Robert Stone. It didn't last very long. And I was saying very much that this match with Charlie Dempsey kind of has to last a bit longer and be a bit more level because of Charlie Dempsey's talent. You don't want someone like Santana coming in and smashing him easily, and then that kind of devalues Charlie Dempsey. Considering Charlie Dempsey's been to Japan, he's done a lot of work for WWE in other countries. You can't really do that to him, and like he did to Robert Stone. And luckily enough, they didn't do that. Charlie Dempsey got some good efforts on here, had Santana going for quite a lot of this match, and which was nice because we needed a bit more of an even contest between the two, and that's what we got. But being in El Paso, Eddie Guerrero country, Santana hits the Three Amigos, he hits the Frog Splash, and does one, two, three. The crowd were all in for Mike Santana. There's always going to be question marks raised as to whether that decision was right to take him off the championship after, winning it, where everyone wanted him to win it. I didn't quite understand where they were going there with that. I kind of questioned it a little bit. I understood it. I understood the decision. Contractually, we don't know where we stand with Mike Santana yet. Is he here? Is he not? New TV deal comes into play. I know that they were predominantly sitting down with talents this weekend to go over contractual situations. And bring new people in. And we just spoke about three. There's going to be another couple that we talk about in a minute that come in that, again, looks like they're signed with TNA, which I'm going to enjoy. And potentially another one going out. And we'll talk about that. But nevertheless, it was good to see Santana pick up a victory in a bit more of an evenly matched contest, which it should have been. First championship match of the show was the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. The Inspiration, Jessie McKay. Oh, I got that prediction right for Santana, by the way. Cassie Lee and Jessica McKay versus Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford. Now, they were with Robert Stone, which kind of Robert Stone from NXT going for two TNA talents. I'm not quite sure. I know that he done some work with Victoria Crawford in the past, but I'm not quite sure where the story lies with that, considering there's a big hatred between TNA and NXT. So it's a little bit confusing on that one. Ash by Elegance joined commentary. That was good to see. Um, this was it was a good 10-minute match, maybe a bit shy, less than 10 minutes. Robert Stone tried to get involved. There was a lot of sort of, getting involved with the team partners on the other side, little distractions. And it was okay. I enjoyed the majority of this. I wasn't quite sold on this. Interestingly enough, though, Robert Stone threw one of the belts in the ring with this, and as he did that, Crawford got caught with a kick, and then when she tried to use it, Heather by Elegance and M by Elegance tried to run in. The Inspiration chased them off. And then took out Crawford with the Idolizer to retain the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. I predicted the other way. I thought Tessa and Victoria were going to win it because obviously, again, there's a lot of talk about the Inspirations contracts being due up. Wasn't sure where. I haven't really heard a lot about them, like the majority, to be fair. So them winning would kind of indicate there's at least an agreement to go forward into 2026. That the rumors were that they were ending up into their contracts are up at the end of the year. So I would imagine with them winning, unless something happens during the tape-ins, of course, that they would be staying at least into 2026, which is a good thing. Match itself was okay. It didn't pull up any trees. I'm not quite. I want to see Tessa branch away and become the single star that we know that she is. She's brilliant as a single. I'm not convinced of her in a tag team with Victoria Crawford. Nothing against Victoria Crawford, of course. It doesn't work for me. And Tessa needing help from Robert Stone doesn't really work for me. Tessa is such a great athlete, controversial, yes, and everything else aside. Um, but nevertheless, a good win for the inspiration and retention of the Knockouts Championships. From that, now we kind of gone into a bit of a backstage bit with Santino and Ariana Grace, father and daughter. Ariana Grace is in outside of wrestling is dating Channing Stacks Lorenzo, who's going after Steve Macklin's international championship at the show. So they kind of had a heart to heart, and he sort of said, "Look, you got to keep business and pleasure separately." Seems fair. More on that later, though. Now, we go on to street fight time. Oh, I got that prediction wrong, by the way, as you probably aware. I'm trying to, ones I get wrong, scurry through. No, because I got this wrong as well. Street fight time. Mence Warner with Steph DeLanda versus Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona has a lot of a thing with Steph DeLanda because they've been friends on the independent scene for a long time. Steph DeLanda is legitimately married to Mence Warner. They had their wedding not too long ago. Congratulations to that. It started as it meant to go on. Chair shots, kendo sticks, you name it, trash cans, everything was in this. Getting suplexed on the entrance ramp. There was a door, of course there was. Everything where Cardona goes at the moment, there's a door being involved in this. More chairs was in this. There was a bit where the ref got distracted. Steph DeLanda sprayed something into Cardona's face. Meant to want to hit him with a tornado DDT through the table, and that was a near fall. And then there was like a they done the boo strikes. It was trash can shots. It was crazy. Um, there was a bit where Steph DeLanda got involved to grab Matt Cardona's leg, which allowed another trash can shot and a Uranagi, and it was crazy. It really was. And then Sir Cardona pulled out a Christmas sack from under the ring, and the sack exploded with Cardona's mini figures as he hits an attitude adjustment onto those figures for a nibble. Matt Cardona collects these figures. He'd be screaming. He normally sells them. He's normally like the king of merch. What's going on? And then Cardona pulled his own door from underneath the ring. But while he was setting up, because you know these doors take a while to set up, Warner was able to recover enough for another Impaler DDT for a close one. And then Delanda gets a screwdriver, gives it to Warner, tries to stab Cardona with it. He ducked the screwdriver, and then Mence went through the door, and then he hit radio silence through the door on Mence Warner for the victory. It was a crazy 10, 11 minute match. It was just as I always say, the car crash in a good way of a match between these two. Thoroughly enjoyable. Cardona picking up the win. Now, again, you ask yourself about Cardona. If TNA managed to strike a deal with him, he's been around there a while. Yes, he came back to SmackDown as part of the John Cena tournament early stages. But is there another agreement between those two where Matt can, you know, is he officially TNA? Has he officially crossed that line, so to speak? Who knows? Mence Warner will still be there. He's only recently come in. But I'm interested with that. Interested in seeing what they do with that. JDC was backstage. JDC taking on Frankie Kazarian in the main event, looking at himself in the mirror. He was like, hell, if John Cena can do this stuff, I can do it. I'll win. And I'll defeat Eddie. I will defend it against Eddie Edwards. You know. But seems conflicted about his retirement. But he kind of keeps throwing his wife under the bus during this because of it. It's quite hilarious. But JDC Kazarian main event. Now, Steve Macklin, we mentioned earlier. Stacks engaged Ariana, who works for TNA. Her father, Santino Marella, is a director of authority at TNA. It's now time for Steve Macklin to take on Stacks. He come out, of course, with Lexus King from NXT into this match. And I did. I mean, this was great, by the way. I did enjoy this match. There was a lot of, outside interference with Lexus King getting involved in this. And, but I knew that was going to happen anyway. It was kind of written. Still, very, very good match in this between the two guys. I did like this. And the ending of this was kind of going the way that you would have thought. There was a bit where Lexus King tried to get involved. Macklin was going to try and clothesline. He nearly hit the referee. As the referee was covering up to avoid getting hit, Stacks got Lexus King's walking stick, lays Macklin out with it, and then, of course, pins Steve Macklin to become the TNA International Title Championship. Oh, now, the little bit of a confusing bit I got here because at the end of the match, Carlos Silva comes out and gives Channing Stacks Lorenzo the championship. He presents it. Carlos Silva owns TNA. Stacks cheated to win the match. The owner of TNA is right there. Surely to Christ, you would say, no, we're not on my watch. We restart the match. So I was a little bit confused with that. Why would Carlos Silva come in the ring present the championship to Stacks when he cheated to win right in front of him? He's seen it. Restart the match. This is where I think this is where TNA need to improve a bit when we go towards the new television deal, because that isn't going to wash with the crowds what they done there. If you've got the owner of the business, if Tony Khan, or we've seen it sometimes with Vince McMahon, he was watching a match come out and up, we're not having that. I know that he watches all the matches from Gorilla. I'm not stupid. So does TK. But if you're thinking with a logical hat on here, the owner of the company's at ringside watching this match, sees all this unfold, yet still presents Stacks with the international championship at the end of it. Doesn't work for, to quote Hulk Hogan, doesn't work for me, brother. But anyway, yeah, bit of a weird one on there. From that match, we go to a fantastic match. Zaya Brookside, Lei Ying Lee, Knockout Championship, tag team partners, of course. Lei Ying Lee recently winning the championship at a TNA show. I love this match. The Knockouts division has been excellent for me. For so long. And this is fantastic between these two. It's great. Lei Ying Lee's been getting the opportunity. Zaya Brookside just keeps on improving, keeps getting, the experience, the matches under a hat. I know she was experienced on the UK scene. I'm fully aware that she was, but we're talking television. There's a big difference. You wouldn't think there is a big difference between working uh, independence and working TV. There absolutely is. So there's a lot there, and the experiences Zaya Brookside's gaining from this is brilliant. But it was, of course, I predicted this, like I predicted the last one correctly. Yaling Lee spinning facebuster to get the pinfall, but it didn't stop there. Carlos Silva there again presented Lei Ying Lee with the Knockouts Championship. Zaya Brookside, Lei Ying Lee hugged. And they embraced again after a little interview, but then out comes Danny Luna. Danny Luna attacked both of them at the ringside, and then Indy Hartwell comes out. Now, what I will say is a match that has been announced. So they're brawling and everyone got separated. This coming Thursday on Impact from El Paso, Texas, it's going to be Indy Hartwell one-on-one with Danny Luna in a dog collar match. Now, Danny Luna is very accustomed to a dog collar match, if you actually, or a chain match anyway, if you fans of the UK independent scene with Alex Windsor. So she's accustomed to this already. So it kind of plays into her hands a little bit here this coming Thursday. But I'm really looking forward to seeing that match this coming Thursday. Of course, TNA Plus, get it downloaded, get it subscribed. Now, one of the matches I was really looking forward to, and it absolutely delivered, was Order 4's Agent Zero, Mustafa Ali, Jason Hotch, and John Skyler against the reunited Rascals, Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, Myron Reed, and Desmond Xavier. This just was brilliant. I loved it. You had this bit where, as you would normally do in matches, the smaller guys were doing their bit, the big hot tag to Agent Zero, and he kills everybody. And that is exactly what happened. And I was expecting it to happen. And it absolutely did. I really, really loved it. There was bits in there where Ali was distracting the ref and all of that. However, there was quite a scary moment in this. Mustafa Ali was charging Zachary Wentz into the corner. Wentz moved out the way, and Ali hit the turnbuckles awkwardly. Not only did he hit him awkwardly, he hit him hard as well. Apologies for my French, but it fucking looked bad. as the match carried on, there was brawling everywhere. Ali decided, you know what, I'm out of here. And then Agent Zero went 4-on-1 against the Rascals, and that didn't quite work out for him, to be honest. The Great Hands did set up, though, Myron Reed for the finisher, only to hear the guitar of Elijah, who was distracting all the four. And funnily enough, Ali, who was watching from the back of the arena, was getting dragged out by Elijah. And that distracted the rest of all the four and allowed the Rascals to win with basically they hit Hotch on the floor with a Canadian destroyer. They tossed Skyler back into the ring, and then Myron Reed hit him with a slingshot 450 splash to pick up a exciting win. Now, what I meant by about someone leaving in this, it kind of looked as if Elijah was dragging Ali off, into the sunset or away from TNA. I don't know that to be true. I don't know if that is true or isn't true, but it looked that way. That's all I can go from visually from what I saw. I hope it's not, and I really hope Ali could be one of the faces. I know he did tweet out a big thing about AMC and TNA in January, and I was hopeful that tweet was going to be an indicator that he was staying on. So, but you look at what happened there and you kind of get second guessing. I think, is that really happening? Is he really going to be there? What's going on? Elijah will be, which is great news. As were the Rascals, which is even greater news. Did I get that one right? No, I didn't. I got that one wrong. I think I kind of ended even with the results this week. Maybe I just about won. I can't quite. I'll have to go through and have a look. Anyway, back from that to the TNA Men's Tag Team Championship. This was another NXT WWE battle between Tyson Dupois and Tyreek Igwe versus the Hardys. Do you know what? I like that they gave Tyson and Tyreek some really good time and some really good momentum in this. Again, it was reasonably short, went less than 10 minutes. But I did like the fact that they got quite a lot of offense in on this, and we really got to saw them in a light that I'd like to see them in. I didn't want the Hardys to come in and decimate them. Again, you kind of have that standard Hardy Boys match, which it was, but at least you gave Tyreek and Co, Dupois and everyone a chance to really express themselves a little bit. And that's exactly what I did. And they're actually quite a good team. I would like to see them a bit more. I know they're on NXT, and I don't really get a chance to see NXT. But I'd like to see them more. I think there's something good about them. They've got a lot of good stuff. They've got a lot of good tag team moves. They're quite exciting to see. Very good look about them. So yeah, I enjoyed it. But of course, I predicted it, and I think everybody and their dog predicted the Hardy Boys were going to win this match. And of course, Swanton Bomb, Twist of Fate finish, 1, 2, 3. Hardy Boys win, and we're all having a Hardy party in the ring. The match was solid, but we're all having a Hardy party in the ring. Then the lights go out. Now, at the end, no, what I forgot to mention was at the end of the pre-show, they played a little tape about the righteous Dutch and Vince. And they played that, and I was like, oh, the righteous are coming. Fantastic. Hardy Boys finish the match, lights go off. Woman comes up. I have some good news for you. Loads of stuff happened. A very freaky video. The righteous are coming. Like, great. We saw a video. That's, oh, great. Not only were they coming, they were there in the impact zone. Here's my problem. I love the rights. I think the rights is great. I think AEW absolutely fumbled them, and I'll be I don't say that often. Well, I do say that often. I say that about wrestlers that I truly think have fumbled. They absolutely fumbled the righteous in AEW. There was talk of them going to the WWE, being part of the Wyatt's group, and you can see why. Here's my problem. The fans in El Paso, Texas, either legitimately didn't know who they were, which I would question why you're a wrestling fan, or didn't care. And if you didn't care, I also will question why you're a wrestling fan. These guys are great. And for the crowd to, well, be quiet, really. They did get a "Who are you?" chant as they were clicking their fingers coming down to the ring, but I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was amazed that the fans didn't seem to know or care about the righteous. I do. I think it's a great acquisition. TNA have got them locked to deals. This is great. There's also rumors that they may be a part of Tatum Paxley's stuff in NXT coming up as well. Makes perfect sense if it's true again. But the fact that they're in TNA, fantastic, and could be taking on the Hardys at a later date. Absolutely brilliant. What better way for the Righteous to make their TNA debut? It's just a shame that the crowd just wasn't in there in that moment. I heard one little big roar from someone that clearly knew who they were and clearly had a bit of common sense. The rest of El Paso, Texas needs to really take a look at themselves, to be quite honest with you, because that's ridiculous. And I'm really happy that the Righteous are here. Righteous Hardy Boys coming up. Are you kidding? Yeah. Thank you. Take my money. Take my TNA Plus membership. Thank you very much. Awesome. Can't wait to see the Righteous and another win victory for the Hardys. Now, we go back to a stairwell at this point. EY's in there. He says how often he's talked about, how often he's watched TNA's rise and fall, rise and fall. And he going through his cleansing and stuff like that. And anyway, who's next for EY? We'll see. X Division match: AJ Francis, Leon Slater with Rich Swann, of course. Loved it. Thought it was great. Leon, they played the small, quick, big monster guy in this quite well. Leon was really evasive, going, trying to avoid the big strikes, which is yeah, that's great storytelling because we've seen it. That's what it's all about. If you remember wrestling when I was growing up in the 80s, you used to have the Undertaker throw the guy into the corner, try to hit him, the guy would run out of the way, Undertaker would turn around, do it again, blah blah, and then finally crack him one, and then that was, that's how it should be done. And it was great. Leon was going flying around like he should be, and it was brilliant. I loved it. But the pivotal moment in this was Rich Swann. Now, Rich Swann did get involved, distracted the ref earlier on. BDE, the social media guy, he come in, he took the chair away from Francis as well. So Francis decides, I'm going to choke slam you. So we did, which was quite good. But again, that led to Leon getting some moves in there as well. And uh, they've Slater done a dive with the diagonal thing over the top with his GoPro. Can't wait to see that on social media, a bit like Logan Paul. And anyway, look, so the ending of this match is the pivotal part. Now, again, there is rumors of AJ Francis's contract coming up. We don't know where we are with that. So keep that in mind as we get to the end here. So at the end of the match, there's an opportunity about Rich Swann hitting Leon with the belt. He didn't do it, and he wouldn't do it. But what he did do was hit AJ Francis with the belt. And when I say hit him, he cleaned his clock with it. Leon then hits the Swanton 450, and of course that leads to the pinfall, which we know. And Leon was retained, which is what we did know. Uh, Leon potential, sorry, not Leon, Rich Swann, interesting. Slater sold like $1 million. Every one of AJ Francis's moves looked four times probably worse than what they were because of Leon on this. It's fantastic. We did have a bit where Ryan Nemeth come out. Of course, we couldn't have a show without Ryan. He come out looking like a turkey. Obviously, the turkey bowl. He got kicked like normally by my Slade. Um, and anyway, that was just a bit of fun. Before we get to the long stuff, World Heavyweight Championship, JDC, Frankie Kazarian. Who would you believe? JDC's been wrestling 27 years. And do you know what's quite weird? Sometimes when wrestlers are getting to the back end of their career, and you can see it, I know Jericho's had it from the fans. Oh, he looks rad, he looks shit, and all this stuff. JDC's like, he's still doing like what he was doing 27 years ago. It's like he hardly ever aged, than anything else. Anyway, they do this bit where Kazarian wanted JDC just to hold the rope so JDC could just leave and retire. And of course, you knew that wasn't going to work. Look, good action from the main event. The two veterans of the business. You're always going to get a good TV main event with two veterans um, of the business. I enjoyed it. But we knew, right? There was a bit where the referee took a bump. JDC hit the air raid crash. He got that visual pinfall, which we all do, and all of that sort of stuff. Um, but he did miss his top rope leg drop, and then locked in the chicken wing. Did Kazarian, to which Kazarian, To which JDC doesn't tap out, he passes out. So that's a nice way of JDC. Look, he got his opportunity. We knew that look, he was never going to win the world championship. Let's be real about it. But he had a nice main event to finish up. Yeah, I don't expect him. I don't expect him to wrestle one-on-one at Genesis. I think that's going to be a part of the system because we're going to get into something in a minute that will pretty much confirm that. But look, he got his nice. He got a nice. That was kind of like his thank you gift for TNA. It was a great, it was a good 13-minute match. And Kazarian retains, which we know. But Nick Nemeth also has that shot, by the way. That was what they could have done. Perhaps they could have had him be Kazarian, Nemeth come out, cash in his shot. Could have done. Didn't, but could have. Anyway, at the end of the match, the system come out to console JDC. Kazarian left, and then out comes NXT. And they decided to expose, they decided to annihilate the system. They then decided to pour lighter fluid on the TNA logo and were about to set it on fire. Before they could do that, Mike Santana, Steve Macklin, and the Hardys run out to put a stop to that. And it was quite interesting though. Santana come out with the security guards, with the referees to break it all up. In the middle of the chaos, though, Channing Stacks Lorenzo knocks out his father-in-law in Santino Marella. So that's going to be interesting. But look, now it's become it could have been some one-upmanship between TNA and NXT. It turned into a little bit of a who's the better brand. It's kind of crossed the line now with NXT trying to set TNA's logo on fire. Now we're done playing games. It's time to really get involved. So I'm looking forward to see where that story goes and where we're going to be this coming Thursday on Impact from El Paso, Texas. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to a lot of what's going to be happening on TNA over the next few weeks as we build to obviously Genesis and the new television deal with AMC on the 15th of January. But of course, this coming Thursday, it'll be live. TNA, it won't be live, but it'll be Impact TNA. TNA Plus app, get it downloaded, get it subscribed, and watch some great action. Speaking of watching some great action, I am just about to shoot off to WrestleForce over in Wickford, local show to mine. Going to enjoy that as well. Keep it locked on the channel. Lots coming up. HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all other social media outlets. Till next week, till Monday, everyone. Buckle down. Stay safe. Oh, cross the line and stay safe.